Okay, so let's resume from where we ended yesterday. I'll rewind a little bit. I'll make this full screen.
ऐसे भी ऐसे रहते रहते एक दिन ऐसा मन में आया कि भाई वाक्य में समाधि की बात तो सुना था, हमको ये विश्वास भी हुआ समाधि हो गया, किंतु
Okay, so we ended at when he's found himself in the situation where he's experienced samadhi, but he's done it for hours, for years, and yet he has found no answers. And so he said, I just was the way I was, I managed somehow. Now what happens after that?
इस शिकंज अब किसी के ऊपर आरोप लगाने की कोई जगह ही नहीं रहा। इस शिकंजे में हम ना अपने ढंग से रहे, चाहे हंसते रहे, चाहे कराते रहे, जैसे भी वैसे रहते रहते एक दिन ऐसा मन में आया कि भाई वाक्य में समाधि की बात तो सुना था, हमको ये विश्वास भी हुआ समाधि हो गया, किंतु समाधि ये है, इसको कैसा हम दूसरों को बता पाऊं।
Right. So staying this way, being in this situation, one day I also started to wonder that, okay, I have achieved samadhi, and people have spoken about it for generations. But how do I establish that I have had samadhi? In what way could I possibly establish for people that there are no answers in this state, that I have experienced it and that there are no answers?
किंतु समाधि ये है, इसको कैसा हम दूसरों को बता पाऊं।
But how do I establish to them that it was samadhi that I experienced? Because there is nothing to tell in this state.
इसको हम कैसा सुदृढ़ कैसा मानो, ये प्रमाण क्या मानो, इसमें बताने की कोई चीजें नहीं है, बताने की चीज नहीं है तो हम प्रमाण क्या प्रस्तुत करेंगे।
इसको हम सुदृढ़ कैसे मानो? How do I establish there is nothing to tell in this? What can I even tell others? On what basis will they believe me? Sudrid is firm. Praman is evidence. I have no evidence for it because there is nothing to evidence in samadhi. It is a state of blankness.
ये संकट गहराया तो स्वाभाविक था। ये हमको समाधि हुआ कि नहीं, इसको आजमाने के लिए मैंने संयम नाम की एक क्रिया किया।
So this was a crisis. This was a difficulty which deepened for me. This was a difficulty I was facing, and as I was facing it, because it deepened, so naturally, because I had to find a way to solve it, and in order to solve it,
तो समाधि ये है, इसको कैसा हम दूसरों को बता पाऊं, इसको हम कैसा सुदृढ़ कैसा मानो, ये प्रमाण क्या मानो। ये संकट गहराया तो स्वाभाविक था। ये हमको समाधि हुआ कि नहीं, इसको आजमाने के लिए मैंने संयम नाम की एक क्रिया किया।
In order to आजमाने के लिए is to basically to prove it, to test it out, to put it through the test that I have actually achieved samadhi. I decided to go for this process called Sanyam. Sanyam literally means restraint or balance or control, but it's the name given to a certain process in the yogic tradition.
ये भी इशारा पूर्वजों से ही मिली थी। ये पतंजलि योग सूत्र में उल्लेखित है। उसमें लिखा है, धारणा ध्यान समाधि त्रय में एकत्रत्वात् संयमः, ये लिखा है।
So this guidance I had also received from my elders itself. They were the ones who had told me about it. It has been this process, this state has been described in the Patanjali Yoga Sutra, which is a text that details different meditative states and techniques. And in that, what is written about it is this Sanskrit phrase that he said, which means dharana, dhyan, samadhi. These three things have to be collected at one point. So dharana is literally, these are three different states essentially, but the word literally means, dharana means our conception, dhyan is our attention, and samadhi is the state. I mean, I don't think I have a translation for the word samadhi, but so the state that he had experienced, which was of this extreme, with complete blankness, which otherwise in tradition had been said to answer all questions, was the state of ultimate knowledge. So the Patanjali Yoga Sutra said you have to collect these three states in one point. Trayam ekatritvat sanyama. That will lead to sanyam.
उसको कोई भी मेधावी व्यक्ति पढ़ के देख सकता है। उस संयम के बारे में कुछ भी लिखा, हमको वो कोई बोध नहीं हुआ। अपने ढंग
So it's written in the Patanjali Yoga Sutra. Any medhavi vyaktis, any intellectual, if they wish, they can pick it up and read it and find it over there. But whatever else is written about Sanyam in the book, none of that made any sense to me.
से हम एक समाधि का एक चित्र बनाया, तरीका बनाया, उस तरीके से हम संयम किया।
So none of that really made sense to me. I couldn't accept it fully. He'll explain why later. So I made my own design of how to reach the state of Sanyam. And in that,
संयम करने का फलस्वरूप तो जर्रा जर्रा अस्तित्व हमको हमारे सामने दिखना शुरू किया।
So he came up with his own design, didn't follow the Patanjali Yoga Sutra. I made my own design, and consequently, as a result, I began to see every tiny bit of existence. Every tiny bit of existence started becoming visible to me.
उसको दिखने का मतलब में मैं यही आपसे अनुरोध करना चाहता हूं, हमको समझ में आया माने देखा।
Now when I say it started becoming visible and I could see, what I mean by seeing, this is my request to you, what I mean by seeing is that I understood. When one understands, that is seeing. Understanding is seeing. Seeing means to understand.
समझ में नहीं आया माने नहीं देखा। इस अर्थ में देखने का शब्द मैं प्रयोग करता हूं।
If I didn't understand, that means I didn't see. And so I use the term seeing for understanding. This is how I use the word.
तो देखने का मतलब समझना ही है।
Okay. So the meaning of seeing is to understand. Now there's a bit of a cut in this video. Actually, the second part is in another piece, so I'm going to say that. If you have anything to ask or clarify, you can just interject in the middle. That was the introduction, the background of how he came upon this knowledge. And now we'll start the explanation. The title of this section, is Madhyasth Darshan Ka Parichay. So an introduction to Madhyasth Darshan. Darshan is a philosophy, and Madhyasth means mediative. The meanings of these words will become clearer as we proceed.
तो एक परमाणु से लेकर एक इतने बृहद धरती तक की क्या क्या प्रक्रिया से गुजरी हुई, उसको हम क्रमवत देखा है।
So when each tiny bit of existence became visible to him, Now, what could he see? Starting from the tiniest atom up till this great dharti, Vrihad Dharti is huge, majestic earth. I saw everything.
प्रक्रिया से गुजरी हुई उसको हम
And all the processes that it has gone through, from there being a single atom to there being this majestic earth as we see it today. I saw all of that and all the processes that it has gone through to reach this state.
हम क्रमवत देखा है, विधिवत देखा है, उसको हम आपको बोध करा देते हैं.
I have seen this in sequence. I have seen this systematically, and that is what I will help you understand. I will explain to you.
ये स्थिति मुझ में स्थापित हुई.
That was the state that was established in me.
इसी के साथ परमाणुओं के कतार में ही एक परमाणु को ऐसा देखा, जीवन को देखा. वो जीवन परमाणु मुझ में, आप में, आज पैदा हुआ एक आदमी में, शरीर छोड़ा हुआ जीवन में के स्थिति में ये सब समाने रहते हैं.
So, along with this, I started seeing the atoms. Along with this, in the queue of atoms, there were many types of atoms. In that queue of atoms, there was this one particular kind of atom that I saw, which was the Jeevan atom. Jeevan literally means life, but here it is this. It doesn't mean life. Life has a more vague meaning, but here it means sentient. So this was a sentient atom, the Jeevan atom, and this Jeevan atom is the same in me, in you, in the person who is born today, in the person who has just left their body, that has died today. All of us have the same kind of Jeevan atom or sentient atom. All of us are the same kind of atom.
शरीर को छोड़ करके भी जीवन रहता है और शरीर के साथ भी रहता है. शरीर के साथ क्यों रहता है उसको.
So upon leaving the body also this Jeevan atom remains, and with the body also we see it, we run it, it remains. But why does it remain with the body? That is also a question. क्यों रहता है शरीर के साथ, क्यों रहता है? Why does it stay with the body after?
पूछा जाए तो आगे प्रसंगवश मैं बताऊंगा.
Okay, if we ask why does it stay with the body, I'll explain later as the context arises.
इतने इस जगह में हम देखा कि शरीर के माध्यम से जीवन अपने को प्रमाणित करना चाहता है. इतने ही सूत्र है इसका.
So through this entire process, I saw that the Jeevan wants to evidence itself with the help of the body as a medium. Using the body as a medium, the Jeevan wants to evidence itself. This is the main maxim. This is the main principle. Sutra means basic principle, maxim. ये इतना ही सूत्र है.
इस जीवन क्या प्रमाणित करना चाहता है भाई? उसका उत्तर ये मिला, जीवन पहले जीना चाहता है.
So what does this Jeevan want to evidence then? The answer to that is, first, the Jeevan wants to live.
उसके बाद तो जीने के साथ साथ सुखी होना चाहता है. सुखी होने के साथ साथ प्रमाणित होना चाहता है.
After that, first it wants to live, then along with living, it wants to be happy, and along with happiness, it wants to evidence that happiness.
ये तीन स्थितियां हैं. उसमें से जो पहला स्थिति है, जीना चाहते हैं, वो जीव कोटि में ही पूरा हो जाता है.
These are the three states. Of these, the first state where it just wants to live, that is completed and fulfilled in the stage of animals itself.
जैसा है जो सुखी होना चाहते हैं और प्रमाणित करना चाहते हैं, ये मानव कोटि में ही पूरा होता है और कहीं पूरा होता नहीं है। इसको मैंने भले प्रकार से देखा।
Then the remaining two, where he wants to be happy and then wants to evidence this happiness, that can only happen in the stage of humanness. It can't be achieved in any other stage. This I have seen thoroughly. भली प्रकार से देखा है. I have seen it properly and thoroughly.
ये एक बहुत संतुष्टि की जगह मुझको मिली. उसके बाद
and this was a point of great satisfaction for me.
उसी के चलते सुखी होने के लिए जो सूत्र रहा, व्यवस्था में जीना, ये भी देख लिया. ये जितने भी जड़ संसार है, जिसको हम आज कहते हैं पदार्थावस्था, प्राणावस्था, जितने भी ये खनिज व संसार है, उसका ठोस तरल विरल स्वरूप है. और जितने भी प्राण कोशाओं से बनी हुई रचनाएं हैं, जिसके मूल में बहुत सारे रस रसायनों का अनुभव हुआ है मानव जाति को, और भी जो करना है करते रहेंगे. तो इससे रचित सभी वस्तुओं का जो संयोग से ही कुल मिलाकर के शरीर रचना की बात देखी. बहुत
It's a long sentence. So after that, so I saw that this is only achievable in the human at the human level. But then, what is the maxim, the principle on through which humans can be happy, can attain happiness? That also I saw. I saw what the system for that is as well. And then he begins explaining it from the beginning. I'll go back a bit.
मूल में बहुत सारे रस रसायनों का संसार है. जितने भी ये जितने भी जड़, उसके बाद उसी के चलते सुखी होने के लिए जो सूत्र रहा, व्यवस्था में जीना, ये भी देख लिया.
So the principle for living happily, which is living in order, living as part of the system. Vyavastha mein jeena is living as part of the system, living orderly with orderliness. That also I saw. And then he elaborates that jitne bhi jad sansar hai, all the material world, the insentient world, which is all of the material order, the plant order, the biological order, in which you have, the solid state, liquid and gaseous state, and all kinds of biological cells and the different molecular compositions molecular compositions composing living cells and living cells composing greater living compositions. Rachnaon ke liye, the word for rachna that I'm using is composition. Rachna just means anything that is created or composed of elements. So, several molecules come together to create a living cell, which is a rachna, a composition, and several living cells come together to create bigger rachnas or compositions. So all of these compositions he elaborates on that are made up of various chemicals. I saw all of those.
ये जितना वह संसार है, उसका ठोस तरल विरल स्वरूप है. और जितने भी प्राण कोशाओं से बनी हुई रचनाएं हैं, जिसके मूल में बहुत सारे रस रसायनों का अनुभव हुआ है मानव जाति को, और भी जो करना है करते रहेंगे. तो इससे रचित सभी वस्तुओं का जो संयोग से ही कुल मिलाकर के शरीर रचना की बात देखी.
So all these compositions and all of pranavastha and padartha of the material order and the biological order, all of these that humankind has already experienced up till now and understood up till now, and will continue to explore and experience further. All of these have come together to form the human body. That is what I saw. It's a sanyog of these coming together. Sanyog is like serendipity, essentially. The serendipity of them coming together. Sanyog, that's not the best word. Sanyog is like a coincidence, but it is like a coincidence that is in line with the order of existence. So it's, पूर्णता के अर्थ में योग. So coming together in line with completeness and the complete purpose. So that is what has led to the formation of the human body. This much I could understand.
भौतिक रासायनिक वस्तुओं से ही ये जीव शरीर भी बनता है, मनुष्य शरीर भी बनता है. तो इन शरीर में जो अंतर मैंने देखा जीव शरीर मनुष्य शरीर की, वो ये है कि मनुष्य शरीर रचना में ही मेधस तंत्र समृद्ध हो पाता है.
So both the human and the animal body are composed of these physiochemical substances. But the difference that I could see between the human body and the animal bodies was that it is only in the human body that the nervous system, the system of the brain and the rest of the nervous system that regulates the body, can only become completely enriched, samriddh, completely abundant in the human body.
समृद्ध होने का मतलब यह है जीवन बहुमुखी विधि से अपने को प्रमाणित करने योग्य मेधस तंत्र बना रहता है.
So, what does being enriched imply? It means the nervous system being enriched means that it becomes capable of allowing the Jeevan to express itself in multifaceted ways.
इसको मैंने सटीक देखा है. इसमें कोई कोना मुझसे बच करके तो नहीं रहा है.
I have seen this exactly. No corner. इससे कोई कोना मुझसे बचकर तो नहीं रहा. This means that no corner of this has escaped me. I haven't missed anything in this. And what is he talking about? That it is only in the human body with the human enriched nervous system, the brain system, that the Jeevan is able to express itself fully in multifaceted ways. It is not possible in the Jeevan, in the animal body.
ये सब देखने के बाद मुझको ऐसा लगा जीव कोटि बिल्कुल अपने में व्याख्यायित है, अपने में परिभाषित है, अपने में व्यवस्थित है. वैसे ही मानव भी अपने में परिभाषित है और व्याख्यायित है, और इस ढंग से जीने पर आदमी को सुखी होना बन जाता है.
So in this way, I saw that all of the animal order is defined within itself. अपने में व्यवस्थित है, अपने में व्याख्याहित है, अपने में परिभाषित है. So it is व्यवस्थित is order, systemic, systematized in itself. It is व्याख्याहित. It is elaborated, as in whatever the principles are behind what it is to be an animal, that has been elaborated accordingly within the animal order. And in the sense that there is enough variety expressing those principles. You'll find all kinds of animals that are expressing animalness. And it is paribhashit. It is defined. So the animal order is definite, is orderly, and expressed in a variety of ways within itself, in its and so are humans. Just like the animal order is defined and systematized, humans too have a system. Humans too are definite, have a definite way of being, and are an order in themselves.
और इस ढंग से जीने पर आदमी को सुखी होना बन जाता है.
And when we live accordingly, when we live according to the way we are naturally designed to be, the way we are defined, if we live in accordance with that, then we are able to be happy. इस विधि से, in this way, सुखी होना बन जाता है. We are able to live happily.
ये भी हमको पता लगा. इसी के साथ साथ वो भी उत्तर मिल गई. वाक्य में मोक्ष क्या है, बंधन क्या है, जिस बात के लिए हम चले थे उसका उत्तर इसी जगह में मिल गए.
And along with all this, I also found the answer to the questions I had set out for. The questions that I had set out to search for were what is liberation and what is bondage, I found my answers to those as well.
कैसे मिल गई भाई? जीवन जो है स्वयं मनुष्य जो है ना, क्या प्रमाणित करना है? पहले बताया, सुख को प्रमाणित करना है.
So how did I find the answer? What was there? Some several parts to this.
Okay. कैसे मिल गई भाई? जीवन जो है स्वयं मनुष्य जो है ना, क्या प्रमाणित करना है? पहले बताया, सुख को प्रमाणित करना है.
So what were the answers? What were the answers to the questions I had set out for? The first is, what does human have to evidence? First, as I mentioned earlier, first humans need to evidence happiness. They want to be happy.
ठीक है. सुख को प्रमाणित करने की जगह में वो क्या होना पड़ता है? समझदार होना पड़ता है.
To be in the position to evidence happiness, what does he need to be? He needs to be knowledgeable.
मनुष्य समझ करके वो व्यवस्था को प्रमाणित करेगा और सुख को प्रमाणित करेगा.
Upon understanding, upon gaining knowledge, humans will be able to evidence happiness and evidence orderliness. Vyavastha is system or order.
दूसरे विधि से कर नहीं पाएगा. मैं स्वयं
By any other way, it is impossible for humans to evidence happiness or to evidence order. It is only through understanding that humans can evidence happiness or order.
विधि से कर नहीं पाएगा. मैं स्वयं साधना करता रहा. सब लोग कहते भी रहे, बड़ा नियम संयमी, बड़ा सटीक रहता है आदमी. सब उमड़ करके हमको देखने आते थे.
I myself, when I was doing my sadhana, my meditation, I myself was an ascetic, and everyone around me, all the people would say that, what a balance, what a principled, what a controlled and clear-minded person he is. And people used to, there were outpourings of people who would come to see me as an ascetic doing his meditation.
तो किंतु मैं गवाही कर रहा हूं, हम कोई भी, हमारा मानसिकता में कोई संयम नहीं रहा जब तक हम समाधिस्थ नहीं हुए.
But I am giving testimony to the fact that there was no restraint, no control and balance in my mentality, in my mind, until I attained samadhi.
तब तक मुझ में कोई संयम नहीं रहा मानसिक रूप में. यह सच्चाई है.
Until then, there was no control in me, mentally, at the manasik roop mein, at the level of my mind. That is the truth.
जब हमारे में इतनी ही बात रही एक प्रकार से कि हम यदि साधना करना है और कोई उठपुटांग हम नहीं कर सकते.
The only thing that remained in me was that I want to do my meditations. I need to do my sadhana, my meditation. And so I can't do anything foolish.
उठपुटांग बात हमारा मन में ना उपजे, ऐसा कोई बात नहीं थी.
That no foolish thought occurred in my mind, there was no such thing.
यदि ये सच्चाई है, मैं जो गुजरा हूं, तब तो इसके आधार पर हम इस दावे के साथ कह सकता हूं, जब तक आदमी समाधिस्थ नहीं होगा तब तक उठपुटांग विचार ना आए, ऐसा कोई कायदा अस्तित्व में नहीं है.
So if this is true, what I've gone through, then I can assert with confidence that there is no system in existence for there to be no foolish thoughts emerging in one's mind until samadhi, before samadhi. That means there is, I can assert confidently that there is no way to avoid foolish thoughts in one's mind until one reaches the state of samadhi.
इसीलिए तो व्याकुलता की बात, माने मनुष्य स्वयं नहीं चाहता है कोई उटपटांग बात हो मन में आवे, ये कोई आदमी नहीं चाहता है। साधना करने वाला तो कोई चाहता ही नहीं है मेरे अनुसार, मैं भी नहीं चाहता रहा, होता जरूर रहा।
No one wants to have foolish thoughts in their head. Especially an ascetic, they definitely don't want that these foolish thoughts should, keep coming to them. I definitely didn't want them, but they would still arise. And this is the biggest problem that ascetics face.
यही स्थिति में, यही संकट मेरे अनुसार साधना करने वाला तो कोई चाहता ही नहीं है मेरे अनुसार, मैं भी नहीं चाहता रहा, होता जरूर रहा।
So no one wants it. Ascetics definitely don't want it. Even I didn't want it, but it still happened.
यही स्थिति में, यही संकट मेरे अनुसार सभी साधकों के सामने गुजरता है। इसी से जो साधक जो है जब तक सह पाता है, झेल पाता है, जब झेल नहीं पाता है, झेल नहीं पाता है, सह नहीं पाता है, सह नहीं पाता है।
So this is a difficulty that each ascetic faces, and then each of them, until they can endure it, they endure it. While they can tolerate it, they tolerate it. When they can no longer endure it or tolerate it, they no longer endure it and tolerate it.
यही मैं कह सकता हूँ, यही इसका
That's all I can say. That is all I can say, and that is the summary. That is the only summary that one can make of this situation.
अब जब इस मुद्दे का उत्तर मिल गया, क्या चीज बंधन और मोक्ष, बंधन क्या चीज है, मनुष्य जो है ना समझदार होकर के जीना है, मुख्य बात।
Now that I found the answer to my question of bondage and liberation, what is bondage? Bondage. Now we understand that the human has to live with understanding.
बात यह है, तो नासमझी से, नासमझी क्या है, पशु जीवन जैसा जानवर जैसा जीता है, जानवरों के क्रियाकलापों को हम एक मॉडल मान लें, उसी को एक कसौटी मान लें, उसी को एक प्रमाण मान लें, उसके अनुसार यदि हम जीने के लिए प्रवृत्त होते हैं, स्वाभाविक है हमारे लिए तो भ्रम हो गया।
So what is bondage? Bondage is nasamjhi. Nasamjhi is like it's ignorance essentially, folly. There is never a blank. There's never a gap in understanding. There are always wrong beliefs instead of understanding. So let's call it ignorance. What is bondage? Ignorance. And what is ignorance for humans? So ignorance for humans is living as animals. When we consider the activities of animals as the model, as the qualifier, as qualification, and try to live according to that, that itself is ignorance and delusion. That is delusion for us. And that is bondage.
क्योंकि हम समझदार होकर के जीना है और ना समझी से जीने के लिए हमको परंपरा मजबूर कर दिया। उसका प्रमाण है कि
so living like that is living with ignorance, because we need to live with samajhdari, with understanding. Yet our tradition in which we grow up compels us to live in this way, compels us to live like animals.
मजबूर कर दिया। उसका प्रमाण है कि कामोन्मादी मनोविज्ञान, भोगोन्मादी समाजशास्त्र और लाभोन्मादी अर्थशास्त्र, ये तीनों चीज दुकान सजी हुई है।
What is the evidence of this? The evidence of the fact that our traditions compel us to live as animals. The evidence to this is that the Kamonmadi Manovigyan is sex-obsessed psychology, Bhogonmadi Samaj Shastras, consumption-obsessed sociology, and Labhonmadi Arthashastras, profit-obsessed economics. These three, their dukaan saji hui hai, he says. If you look around us in the tradition, in our society, these three are, flourishing. Ki dukaan saji hui hai literally means ki their shops are flourishing. This has become the marketplace of sex-obsessed psychology, consumption-obsessed sociology, and profit-obsessed economics.
अब इसके बीच में चलता हुआ हर अभिभावक अपने बच्चे को बहुत अच्छा बने, श्रेष्ठ बने, संस्कारी बने, सुंदर बने, सुखद बने, समाधानित हो, ऐसा आशीष करते हैं। मैं समझता हूँ
Now, living in this society, amidst all of these, each guardian, each parent blesses their child with blessings such as Acha bane, may you be good, may you be great and worthy of respect, may you be, happy, may you be cultured. These are the kinds of blessings each parent gives their children.
हर अभिभावक किसी न किसी कोने से यही आशीष किया करते हैं, इसको भी हमने देखा है। अब इसका तालमेल कहाँ है?
So, in any way, in any sort of language that they may use, this is a kind of blessing each parent gives to their child. This also I've seen. But now, where is the match? Where is the, concordance between these two realities? Whereas on one hand, we're promoting sex and overconsumption and profiteering. And then here we're giving our blessings to our children to be worthy of respect and sociable and happy. There is no match. There is complete mismatch between the two.
हम जो बच्चों को हम जो सिखाते हैं, पढ़ाते हैं, उसका और जो हम आशीष करते हैं, उसका तालमेल कहाँ है? ये कहीं दिखा नहीं.
So where is the concordance between what we teach our children and what we train them in and the blessings that we give them? There is no such concordance between the two. I don't see any.
तो तब हमको वो जो दूसरा भाग थी राष्ट्रीय चरित्र, संविधान, इसके मुद्दे में उसका भी उत्तर मिल गया.
So that was the first question that was answered. What is bondage? And this delusion or ignorance is bondage. Then he's saying, then the second question that I had regarding national character, I found the answer to that as well.
क्या मिल गया भाई? अस्तित्व में हर एक अपने त्वा सहित व्यवस्था है, समग्र व्यवस्था में भागीदारी करता है.
What was the answer to that? So each unit in existence is a system in itself, having its own uniqueness, and it participates in the larger system. So every unit with its uniqueness is an order in itself and participates in the larger order.
ये चीज मानव में आने के लिए रास्ता मिल गए, मानव का परिभाषा मिल गई, मानव शुद्धता जागृत मानव का एक परिभाषा मिली.
So I found the way for this to be the case to be achievable for humans as well, where humans can also be system orderly in themselves and participate in the larger order. I found a way for this to be achieved in humans as well. I found the definition of what it means to be human, and in the form of an awakened human, and what it means for humans to be orderly.
मिल गई, मानव शुद्धता जागृत मानव का एक परिभाषा मिली, उनका कार्य व्यवहार का स्वरूप मिली. उस कार्य व्यवहार को हम सूत्रित करते हैं, व्याख्यायित करते हैं, यही समाजशास्त्र या संविधान कहलाता है.
I found the definition of an awakened human, found out the swaroop of their karya vyavahar, which is what is the work and behavior of an awakened human supposed to be like.
करते हैं, व्याख्यायित करते हैं, स्वरूप मिली.
हाँ. And when we articulate what this work and behavior of an awakened human is supposed to be like in terms of principles or maxims, then that itself takes the form of sociology. This consolidation of all the principles of human conduct, of human work and behavior, and then their elaboration in behavior, that is what sociology.
उस कार्य व्यवहार को हम सूत्रित करते हैं, व्याख्यायित करते हैं, यही समाजशास्त्र या संविधान कहलाता है.
So when we articulate this awakened work and behavior, that itself is called sociology or a constitution. Okay, it's 7:15. If there are any questions or anything anyone wants to talk about, we can pause here and discuss, or we can, otherwise if there are none, then we'll spend the remaining 15 minutes doing more of the recording interpretation. Anyone?
No questions, Drishta, for now.
Manjali?
No, it's going very well. No question yet. I had one doubt which got cleared during the next few sentences.
Okay,
so it got cleared. Okay.
Great. So yeah, if you ever have a doubt that comes up and it doesn't immediately get cleared, just write it in the chat so that later on I can see if it needs to be taken. Okay, then let's just resume the recording. Yes, so he just elaborated on what real sociology and the real constitution, the national constitution that he had discussed earlier, is actually supposed to be. It's supposed to be a consolidation of the principles and elaboration of humane work and behavior.
संविधान का व्याख्या देने पर ही समाजशास्त्र है. मानव का आचरण को बोध कराना ही समाजशास्त्र का मूल.
So संविधान का व्याख्या. So an elaboration of the constitution is itself sociology, and an explanation or an elucidation of humane conduct is the main objective of studying sociology.
मूल वस्तु है, यह हमको समझ में आ गई.
This is
इस
what
ढंग से क्या हुआ, दोनों मुद्दे पर हमको उत्तर सहज रूप में मिली कि मानवीय आचार संहिता रूपी संविधान से, संविधान के रूप में राष्ट्रीय चरित्र को हम पहचान सकते हैं. ये विश्वास मुझ में हुई. उसके बाद यदि हम भ्रम मुक्त हो जाएं, भ्रम का मतलब है जीवों के सदृश ना जिया जाए, मनुष्य के सदृश ही जिया जाए.
So in this way, I found the answers to both my questions. That is, I found that the national character can be understood in the form of a national character, or the national constitution can be understood in the form of a code of humane conduct. And secondly, I understood that bondage is merely living in delusion, and liberation is living with understanding. And living with delusion means living as animals, living like animals. And so liberation is living as humans. And that is what makes humans happy.
यही भ्रम से मुक्त होने का मतलब नहीं है, न कि कोई हिमालय को उधर से इधर नहीं करना है, न बर्फ को पत्थर नहीं बनाना है, पत्थर को ना पानी बनाने जाना है. ना शाप किसी को देना है, ना किसी को आशीर्वाद देना है, ना चमत्कार करना है, ना सिद्धि दिखाना है। अस्तित्व में ना कोई चमत्कार है, ना कोई सिद्धि है। इसको हम सटीक देखा है।
That is all that it means to be free of bondage. That is all that it is. You don't need to move any Himalaya mountain from one place to another. You don't have to do any sort of miracle. You don't have to turn there needs to be no stones being turned to water or ice being turned to stone or stones being turned to water or any such miracle. There needs to be no superhuman superpowers that need to be demonstrated. There are no curses. There are no miraculous curses and no miraculous blessings. Yeah, that is what I have seen with clarity, with precision. That is all that. There is no such thing as blessings and curses and miracles and superpowers. I have seen this with great clarity and precision.
अस्तित्व में कोई सिद्धि नहीं, अस्तित्व में कोई चमत्कार नहीं। अस्तित्व अब शाप और इसके बीच में करहता हुआ आदमी, शाप और अनुग्रह के आशीर्वाद के बीच में करहता हुआ आदमी आज भी करोड़ों 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 है।
There is no siddhi, superpower in existence, and there is no chamatkar, miracle in existence. आज भी, he says, आज भी शाप और अनुग्रह के बीच कराहता आदमी. So he's saying even today there are millions and millions and millions of people who are somewhere trapped and crying out because they're trapped between this, these poles of sharp curses and blessings, God's grace and God's wrath, basically God's anger in the form of curses. And there are still millions and millions of people who are trapped in this mindset that they have to appease God and earn His grace or and avoid His wrath and curse.
पहले से सभी रहा है, तो उसका एक ही उत्तर मिला, जिस क्षण में भी हम जागृति के लिए जिज्ञासु होते हैं, हमारा कदम जागृति की दिशा में एक भी कदम बढ़ती है, उसी मुहूर्त में संपूर्ण शाप ताप पाप तीनों ध्वस्त हो जाता है। उसका कोई माने स्थान ही नहीं रह जाता है।
So there are millions of people who are still hanging between these two, and the answer that I found to this was that the moment that we take even a single step towards understanding and knowledge, in that very moment, all kinds of tap, all sorts of curses and misfortune and bad luck sorts of things that may have existed, all of those evaporate in that very moment.
उसका कोई माने स्थान ही नहीं रह जाता है, उसका कोई भी कलंक भी नहीं रह जाता है।
It leaves, and they leave no trace behind. There is no place for any curses or any bad luck or bad omens or anything, any of those things that are left behind. Not a single trace of them is left behind. The moment that one takes even a single step in the direction of understanding and knowledge.
वो कैसे होता है? इसका उत्तर गणितीय विधि से मिला। जैसा गणित को हम 1000 बार गलत किए रहते हैं, ये हर बच्चे करते ही हैं, अब कोई 10 बार करते हैं, कोई 1000 बार करते हैं।
And how did I find this answer? How did I come upon this answer? Well, that I came upon through the mathematical way. So he gives the example that when we do a math problem, when we try solving a math problem, we can make mistakes in tens of thousands of ways, and you can get it wrong many, many times in different ways, as children do when we're young and we're learning how to solve the problems. We get them wrong in tens of thousands of ways, in many times.
गणित को तो गलत करते ही हर बच्चे करते हैं। जब सही करना आ जाता है वो जीवन भर के लिए सही होती है।
As each child makes mistakes in this way, but as soon as they learn how to do it do it correctly, then they know it forever. Then they never make the same mistake. Once you learn the right way, then you never make a mistake again for your entire life.
गलत करना रहता है, वो एक बार जैसा गलती करते हैं दोबारा वो गलती करते ही नहीं, दूसरे ही करते हैं।
If they do make a mistake, then they'll make some other mistake. They'll never make the same mistake that they've already understood correct way for. And even if another mistake has to be made, it will be some other mistake.
उसको भी प्रमाण रूप में हम देख सकते हैं। 1 करोड़ बच्चों के लिए एक गणित का प्रश्न दिया जाए, उत्तर देते हैं तो 1 होता है, गलत होते हैं तो करोड़े होता है और भी ज्यादा हो सकता है।
This we can verify in the form of, we can see the evidence for this as give one question, a math problem to 1,000 crore, it says, a crore children, and if they all get it right, they will all have the same correct answer, one correct answer, and if they all get it wrong, then they will have 1 crore different wrong answers, and there might even be more than 1 crore.
ऐसा बना रहता है। इसको हर सामान्य व्यक्ति भी इसको सर्वे कर सकते हैं। इस ढंग से हम और एक सूत्र पा गए, हम मानव सही में एक हैं, गलती में अनेक।
So this, any regular average person can even can survey this and see it for themselves. And in this way, I found another maxim that humans are united in correctness and varied in incorrectness.
कितना छोटी सी बात है, इसको तो हर व्यक्ति पाई जा सकता था महाराज, वो किए नहीं, उस वक्त परिश्रम नहीं किए।
It's such a simple thing, and any of us could have discovered this at any point in time. It's just that we didn't do it. We didn't kind of reach that point of realization that this is such a simple, basic sort of reality, that we are united. We are united in correctness and very varied in our incorrectness. But the reason we did not realize this was not because this is a very complex truth, but because we didn't put in the right amount of effort to realize it.
ऐसा परिश्रम नहीं किए, उसका आगे भूमि में आता है। ये जब अस्तित्व को देखा, महिमा संपन्न एक सूत्र हमको मिली। क्या मिली भाई? अस्तित्व में 2 ही प्रजाति की वस्तु है, एक।
Now, how did we? Why do I say that they did not put in the right kind of effort? This I will explain later. Now he's explaining something else.
क्या मिली भाई? अस्तित्व में एक सूत्र हमको मिली। क्या मिली भाई? अस्तित्व में 2 ही प्रजाति की वस्तु है, एक के रूप में हम गिन सकते हैं। एक ऐसा बहुत बड़ा राशि है, दूसरा सर्वत्र एक सा फैला हुआ एक वस्तु है, इसको हर व्यक्ति एक क्षण में समझ सकता है।
So this is another kind of very simple truth that I discovered. And what is it that I discovered? It was that there are only 2 kinds of entities in existence. 2 ही प्रकार की वस्तु है, entities. One kind of entity is such that it is in the form of units. You can identify them one by one as separate units. And the other kind of entity is one which is spread evenly across. How did you describe it?
सकते हैं, एक ऐसा बहुत बड़ा राशि है, दूसरा सर्वत्र एक सा फैला हुआ एक वस्तु है, इसको हर व्यक्ति।
So, and the thing, the entity which is in the form of unit, it's innumerable. There are innumerable such units. And the other kind of entity is one which is spread evenly, without any difference, all over, basically. It's everywhere in the same way. That's what he described. And that is it. This is the simple thing that anyone can recognize, that there are these two kinds of entities.
एक क्षण में समझ सकता है.
Anyone can understand this in 1 second. The simple principle of these two kinds of entities.
ये वस्तु एक वस्तु के अंदर घुला हुआ, डूबा हुआ, घिरा हुआ, भिगा हुआ देखा गया.
And so the unit, the entities which are in the form of unit are found to be completely immersed, soaked, and enveloped in this other entity which is spread throughout, evenly throughout. So like completely enmeshed, completely saturated in this other entity which is spread evenly throughout.
एक एक के रूप में जितने भी वस्तु है, इसका नाम प्रकृति कहा जा सकता है, या और कोई नाम रख लो.
So these entities that are in the form of unit, they can be called nature, prakriti, or we can call them something else, also name them whatever you like.
क्या बुरा है इसमें? कोई भी नाम रख ले. रख करके बस देखने पर ये एक एक के रूप में जितने भी हैं जड़ चैतन्य वस्तु का मतलब.
So what is the problem in keeping whatever name we want? Keep whatever you want. But then when we look at it, this unitary entities are also of two kinds, Jad and Chaitanya. The word Jad means material and Chaitanya means conscious.
जीव कोटि, मनुष्य कोटि, ये दोनों मिलकर बस देखने पर ये एक एक के रूप में जितने भी हैं जड़ चैतन्य वस्तु का मतलब जीव कोटि, मनुष्य कोटि, ये दोनों मिलकर के चैतन्य कोटि.
So when you look at these unitary entities, there are some that are material and others that are conscious. What does it mean by conscious? It means that they are either at the level of animals or at the level of humans. Both of these are conscious.
और जो जड़ कोटि का मतलब पदार्थावस्था, प्राणावस्था, जो
and the material level means what? Means the material order and the biological order. Jad word is a bit, I'm translating it as material. Jad just means very base. It's base. Jad means root, and so I'm translating it as base. But basically something that is the basis for all other material, insentient, unconscious nature.
प्राणकोशाओं से बनने बिगड़ने वाली संसार और जितने भी खनिज पदार्थों से जो संगठित विघटित होने वाले पदार्थ, ये सब पदार्थावस्था में है.
So the biological order consists of everything that is composed of living cells, all the compositions made of living cells, and the material order comprises of all the minerals and stones and elements that are made up of atoms that come together and then break apart. There's fusion and fission, and there's a change in their atomic structures. So all of that comes under padartha, material order. So okay, now he's going to go into this in more detail, and it's already 7:30. So unless there's any sort of clarification, I suppose we can pause here for today and we'll continue tomorrow.
Okay, I was wanting to ask, but that's also gone past, so I'm a little difficult to ask. He said at some that once you understand this,
ऐसे वस्तु में जितने भी
Sorry, huh?
Even if you take one step towards samajdari,
Hmm.
then it'll just follow. Everything will follow. That seems
Yeah.
like, I think later on somewhere it's implying that everything you see, everything he saw, so he can follow. Matlab, one can follow because it's so obvious. But just by understanding, and you take one step towards samajdari, sounds very difficult.
Taking one step, he's saying even the smallest single
Step
step towards understanding
हाँ,
means
तो
that things kind of come together.
I mean, I think I've taken this step, but nothing. Just taking a step will make it come together.
Yeah, that slowly,
Yeah,
that
that's
is
what
what
he
he's saying.
said.
That,
That's
yeah,
what he said.
yeah,
Okay, okay.
yeah.
So just go to acha, okay. But then later on he says that people want it, but they don't. You have to. They didn't do enough sadhana, enough
Effort.
effort.
Yes, he just
So,
meant that, this was such a simple truth to discover, and anyone could have discovered it, but the only reason they didn't discover it because they didn't put in the right effort.
So there's getting the feeling that you need to discover something, then it becomes easy. Just taking that step sounds a little simpler than.
Yeah, I mean now it's been discovered already, so it took a lot more effort to discover it. Like he put in a lot of effort. When the first initial discovery takes in a lot of effort, but then once it's been discovered, then there's very little effort. Now we just receive what he is sharing, and put in our own personal effort to in the direction of now he's told us this is what it means to understand. So now that just needs to become our goal.
Okay, there's still that little feeling of more is needed.
Yeah.
Okay, but very nice. Thank you.
Okay. Thanks. Anyone else?
I just wanted to ask who is on 1+, IV or
I
4?
think this is Nidhi, है ना? I saw Nidhi come in. I saw her video, so I guess she's muted.
Okay.
All right. If there are no other questions, then or thoughts or sharings or clarifications or anything, then
Drishta, one thing
हाँ.
I did was, I wanted to check with you. There is a doubt I have from yesterday's session, yesterday what we heard, but it's a little complex, something he said, which I will have to review and ask. So is it okay if I ask it tomorrow or should I write to you about it?
No, yeah.
Which one?
Ask tomorrow and all of us can hear it together.
I'll check on it tomorrow. And also, is it okay, like so what I am doing as a practice is that what we heard today together, I spend time in hearing on my own also, for my own, some getting more clarity and listening it to in a flow and seeing what am I picking. Is it okay if you bring next day more questions from today's, like
Yeah.
initial 5 minutes if we can give it, or end, whatever suits. But yes, wanted to make that suggestion.
Yeah, okay, we can do that. In the beginning, if you've got questions from the previous day, we can spend some time in the beginning. And then if you have any immediately following what we've done that day, then we can hold like 5-10 minutes for that also. So we can do in the beginning as well as in the
All right, good.
And can we watch this? Can I hear this recording somewhere immediately?
Oh, yes, sorry. I didn't share the link with you because I'll add both of you to the group and the group in which I'm sharing where all the Sambhavna workshop participants are gathered together.
All right.
There are no.
All right. Yeah.
And I'll share the YouTube video recording also. The yesterday's has been uploaded by 8 o'clock itself. I just forgot to share.
Okay, Rishta. See you tomorrow.
Okay, see you.
Yes. Bye.
Okay, thank you, Drishta.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Bye.
Bye.
Good night. Good night.
Good night.